Thanks, Chair. Always happy to wait my turn. Dan, what role does Kevin Slocombe perform for the Combined Authority?
I'm going to refer you to the Chief Executive because he did all the appointment and all the rest of it. But he's a fantastic officer who is amazingly able and extremely helpful to the Combined Authority.
So you will probably know we have around 400 full-time equivalent staff in the authority. We have a number of people who provide interim roles, subject to need to have extra capacity where we need it for short-term reasons. So on CRSCS, there are many, many tens of interim resources, either directly procured or through our strategic partner. In the case of communications, there is a vacancy in a corporate structure, and we felt we needed some work because, as you will recall, there were some issues that nobody here will be proud of to do with the way the corporate communications function performed in earlier periods, particularly around about a year and a half ago. So what we wanted is a professional to come in and help improve the quality of our corporate communications function. And I'm really pleased to say that's exactly what we've had. The corporate communications is much stronger. We've had a restructuring of our comms function into what you might say is a more recognizable professional service from one that was dissipated or disparate across lots of different teams with comms resources residing in too many different programs, leading to fragmented and at times inconsistent communications and also less control than we would have wanted over what gets decided and how it goes out the door. So I'm very pleased that the communications function is now functioning much better. And when the individual you've named leaves us, as he's expected to do, very shortly, the communications function will be ready for a new mayor to be able to rely on it.
Okay, thanks. So it's comms. The accounts say financial services, so that's what I was just trying to work out there. Do you think you mentioned earlier, Dan, about political division holding back the Combined Authority and indeed being the reason for the best value notice? Do you think it was a good idea to bring in someone who was almost famous for facilitating political division during their time at Bristol City Council?
Sorry, what do you mean?
Do you think it was a good idea to bring someone who was Kevin Slocombe,
okay,
who was famous for political division?
Well, I think that's a subjective judgment. I mean, what I can say about Kevin, he's smart, he's capable, he's probably the best there is in the business in our region, certainly, and arguably nationally, he's very good. He only has one failing, he's a Bristol Rovers fan. I forgive him that. Yeah. I forgive him that. I'm a City fan, you know. Each of us has to deal with challenges with other staff, and his happens to be he's the wrong colour in terms of football. Look, he's a very capable guy. We need capable people. You know, our problem isn't an abundance of ability. Our problem is needing to get capacity and good people in to help us. And Kevin has certainly done that, and I'm very proud to be associated with him and what he's done. It's made a real difference. I mean, I'll give you an example of how bad it was when I first became mayor. I went to an event shortly after the pandemic. It was just sort of lockdown had been lifted. It was the first visit I could make. I went to that visit. I asked the people that said there may be press. I asked one of the officers from the Combined Authority, now long gone, are the media coming? They said, oh, well, probably not, don't know. Very vague, kind of unclear. So I said, have we sent out a news release? And they said, no, we haven't. I said, why not? They said, the media might come. So that's the kind of level of communications that was going on. It was appalling. It was absolutely appalling. I mean, that's not a news release, that's history, isn't it? If you say something's happened, it's not informing journalists so they can come and do their job. I think if you talk to journalists in general, they will say that the communications function at the Combined Authority has been very poor for a very long time. And that's often why I get direct calls from them, because they've in the past found that things just didn't work and people didn't get back to them and what have you. So Kevin has transformed that, and that is right, because what this organisation needs to be is politically responsive. You may or may not agree with the policies, that's absolutely fine, and we can debate those and argue those, and that's absolutely right in a democracy. That's very important, and that's partly why we have some of the disagreements that we have, because we have a very fine political balance in this region. No mayor is going to have an easy ride on that front. You know, once the honeymoon's over, they'll be experiencing that too. But what we do need is professionalism of a high standard in the functions that operate in this organisation, and Kevin's very much been part of that. So I want to thank Kevin on the record, as it's my last meeting, as I've been reminded, for doing that. That's been a very important job, and that must continue in the future. Whoever that happens to be, they must be of a high caliber and able to do what they do well, to make sure that the public can make informed decisions about our performance. Because there are amazingly good things that have happened in the Combined Authority, incredible things, very positive things. You don't read about them. What you read about is the rows, and that can't be right. The public need to know why this organisation is important to their lives. We make a major impact on about 1 million people every single day in one way or another. It's very important to know what that's about, so that they can make a judgment, not least when they're going into an election. Okay.